I was a loving little boy, you know. He used to like crawling round and swinging on my hair. I used to have really long hair back then.
And in fact, it was when he was quite young that he decided he wanted to join the army.
Yeah, he was about 4 or 5, and he just said mentioned that he wanted to be a soldier. You know, he wanted to go into the army. He was into like his toy soldiers and his little green tanks and that we used to have to buy him.
And then as he grew up, sort of became a teenager.
Yeah, he was a handful then when he was a teenager. You know, he used to. I think he run rings round us then. You know, if it was either Lee's way or no way. You know, but he had an heart of gold. He was still, you know, fun loving, but hard work at times.
And then, of course, he did join up, what he'd always wanted to do. And I think you've said that the army took a boy and made
him a man. Yes, they did.
What changes did you witness in him?
Just growing up, really. I mean, he had a boisterous side, and with the army, you know, it was very strict, and they had to do this at a certain time and that at a certain time, and Lee never used to be like being told what to do.
How hard has it been to come to terms with what happened to Lee? Because it was obviously his murder was played out on the television. Has that made it all the more hard to come to terms with?
Yeah. For a mother to see a child being brutally murdered and run over like they did, it's something you never get over. You never get over. It never gets easier. You know, it's a constant nightmare every day.
And you didn't ever go and see Lee afterwards?
No, we wasn't allowed to go and see Lee. We went down on the Sunday to Woolwich, to lay a reef, and that was just horrific. You know, going back to the murder scene, and we had a meeting in the barracks with the coroners, and somebody did ask the question if they could see Lee. I never wanted to see Lee anyway. I wanted to remember his smiling face, the face, you know, that I knew of Lee. So no, we wasn't allowed to see Lee.
In Woolwich, the flowers, the tributes that people left to him, they lined the street. There were thousands of them. Did that support help you at all?
It was a warm feeling. It did help to a certain extent, knowing people out there did care and they wanted to pay their respects for Lee.
That you were in their thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, we received thousands of cards, you know, from people, you know, that we was in their thoughts and they were sorry. And
you have a lot of photos and pictures around of Lee, and some of the pictures have actually done by people who've given to you.
That we've not even met before, and they've been in contact with me through either other bereaved families or people we've got to know very well, you know, some friends. People have contacted them saying I'd like Lyn to have a portrait of Lee. And we just basically sent them a photo of Lee that we had, and they did all these amazing, you know, paintings.
They are amazing. When it came to the trial of the men who've gone to prison for murdering Lee, how were you able to get through that, be in the same room as those two men? How did you cope with that?
It was hard, but all through the trial the judges asked for where they were stood in the dock. It was all covered with brown paper, so we couldn't see them, but we was next to them. We was just a feet away from sitting right next to them, and that was hard. I mean, but
they felt they were doing what they did was for a purpose. Does that make it even harder to come to terms with what they did? The fact they thought there was a cause.
Yeah, it does. It makes it even harder, you know. I mean, Lee at the end of the day was just doing his his job. He never hurt anybody in life. He had a heart of gold. He'll do anything, but to be part of this, you know, religion, and that they thought they had to do it, they just ripped a family apart.
How do you feel towards them?
Not a lot. No. I'll never forgive him, ever. I could never forgive him. You know, if I never see him, if I ever see him again, it would.
It's all very, understandably, very raw still for you. How do you move forwards from such a tragedy?
I think inside you have to find the strength to carry on, because I had 4 girls behind. I had my grandchildren. 2 of the girls were still living at home. I mean, they was only 11 and 8 at the time, and they'd just lost Lee. And I just kept thinking, you know, you've got to carry on for them. You know, they'd lost the brother. They don't want to lose the mum as well. So you've just got to try and do 1 minute, you know, every hour of every day.